but passive movements don't teach change. And that is true. You hear a lot that oral motor exercises don't lead to functional change, meaning doing repetitive movements don't lead to a functional end goal. It would be like wanting to run a marathon and only doing squats. That is not going to teach that skill. It helps build strength though, and so I want to keep that in mind. But oral play is not the same as oral motor exercises you're doing with older kids, which has its place, or adults, or in the geriatric population. Oral play is the function. Play is the function of children, right? And so when we are in the mouths doing the specific activities, those are just to give you an idea of what movement should look like for them. It's to facilitate movement so that they can increase oral acceptance, so that they can map out their mouth, so that they can explore movement and get the muscles moving the way that they should be moving. Because babies who carry lots of tension or are restricted don't have that same input. They tend to be more reserved. They tend to stay away from oral play, when in fact oral play is the function of children. It is how they learn and explore their environment. So in order to increase oral awareness, in order to get the tongue moving and have them map their mouth, the beginning of that is oral play. So these activities that you're doing, not only will it serve as building, maybe changing range of motion or building strength, it also is the function of infants. And so I wanted to come on and expand on that, because I see all the time you're just passively in there, you're not making change, and that is inaccurate. Decreasing tension, yes, but you are also creating input that they are not getting, and that increases change. So it's not the same as looking at oral motor exercises from an older age perspective. And I am on the side where, why do we have to be one way or the other? Either oral motor exercises are only functional activities, when I think we can agree that muscles are dynamic. And not only do we need the strength training, but we also need the functional or endurance training. And so there is a need for both. If a muscle does not have the motor plan to do what we're wanting it to do, some oral motor exercises can facilitate that awareness, and then we do the functional activity. A good example of that is tongue rest posture. We can't just do tongue rest posture if the tongue doesn't know it can move up there to the palate space. So teaching it, giving it the input to go there, repetition creates motor change, and then we have the function of it sitting there for nasal breathing. Sometimes I combine them. And so when I'm talking about munching is so important, because the thing is, it's not just feeding. Oral motor skills don't just impact feeding. Oral motor skills also impact breathing. And so if we are training muscles so that they can close, if we have a low posture babe and the only way to work on low posture is to increase strength, so we do oral motor activities in order to get that resting posture, that is the functional activity. Now, if we're working on munching to get swallowing, well, I'm not just going to give them a chewy tube, but I can put that chewy tube in some puree. And now are we munching for strength and then some of the puree is coming off and we're getting a swallow? That is how we can combine some of these activities. So it's not enough to just say that's passive. You're not making change. What are you looking at? What is the end goal? And oral play is the functional activity for infants. I hope that helps.